Hello, I'm Helen. Today on Women in the Driver's Seat, we're speaking with Executive Director Angie Jones of the University of Toledo Family Business Center. It's an organization that supports over 250 businesses that are family-owned or privately owned in our area. I can't wait to speak with her, especially that I'm a proud graduate of this fine university. Go Rockets! Angie Jones, Executive Director of the University of Toledo Family Business Center. Thanks for being here. Could you tell us a little bit about this organization?
Well, thank you for having me. The Family Business Center is an outreach organization in the College of Business and Innovation at the University of Toledo, and we exist for the success of the regional family business community. We know that oftentimes as a business owner, sometimes you feel isolated, you're at the top, and there's so much value in peer-to-peer learning and connecting other business owners together to learn from each other. That's what we do. We provide resources, benefits. Our ultimate goal is for the success of the regional family business community.
And you have over 200 members, don't you?
We close to 250 companies.
Excuse me,
it's the
that's
company
amazing.
that's the member.
Wonderful. During this organization.
So I have been with the university for 24 years. I have been with the center for 11 years. I started as a program manager, and I have been director since 2018, so a little over 5 years. Interestingly, I was hired as the previous director's succession plan, right? And succession planning is something that we talk about a lot with our family business members. It's something that to do it right, you really need to start building your bench 10 years out. You need to plan ahead. And the previous director, Debbie Scutch, who had been director of the center from day one, knew that she was going to retire and she wanted to practice what we preach and do good succession planning. So she hired me knowing that in 5 to 6 years she wanted to pass on the directorship.
Great. Boy, building the bench, spoken like a true rocket. What are a few of the most challenging and also rewarding aspects of what you do?
So the most rewarding aspect is meeting with all of the great local business owners and family business community. They are some of the best people in the community. You know, family business is really the backbone of our regional economy. And when you have an opportunity to talk with the families, the owners of the company, they're rooted in this community. You know, they've raised their families. Their employees are like families. They are some of the best people around. They want to give back. They want the community to thrive and grow. And oftentimes they're doing it quietly behind the scenes. Some great stories, some of the best people around. And I think the most rewarding thing that I get to do is to meet with them, to learn their stories, to hear some of their challenges, to learn their successes, and then to help them. You know, maybe I can help them find a little money for training. You know, maybe I can help them start conversations that they don't know how to start, or even conversations that they don't know they should be having. That is definitely the most rewarding part of my job. The most challenging part is, as you mentioned, we have close to 250 companies that are members in the region. So we go all the way out to Bryan, Ohio, across the border in Michigan, down over to Sandusky and Cleveland. We have some members south in Findlay area. And right now there's 2 of us. And I love the member part. I love meeting with the different companies, again, hearing their stories. And with 250, it's hard to do all of that. So I think the challenge is getting to know all of them the way that I want to get to know all of them.
Would you encourage young women to get behind the wheel of your line of work?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you have an opportunity to work with the community, to do any type of community engagement, I say go for it. Again, they're some of the best people around to work with.
I know your organization gives back to the community, just like Taylor Automotive Family. That's so important to them. But you know, what are you most personally proud of ways that you give back?
Yeah, the way the center gives back is by providing the resource, the education to help the local family businesses be successful. We have tried to promote giving back and doing right, and I think how we got connected with the Taylor Automotive family, we had our Doing Right Spotlight, where we put the spotlight on 3 local companies that were doing good for the sake of doing good. And Taylor Automotive, we spotlighted your company on all the great stuff that you were doing out in the community. So trying to get the word out about giving back and ultimately that's what the employees are looking for. You know, the younger generation, they're looking to work for companies that are doing good in the community, that are giving back where there's volunteer opportunities. So we're just trying to share that word, you know, put out local companies that say, hey, yeah, we see that Amazon and Google and some of the larger corporations are doing this, but look at what some of the smaller family-owned businesses, you can emulate that. Let them be an example. Here's some things that you can do for the good of your employees or for the good of the community or the good of humankind. So one thing that I'm personally proud of is a golf outing that we host annually, which this year is September 25th for anyone that's interested. And we raise money to support student scholarships in the entrepreneurship, family, and small business major. And we also raise money for student travel to give students the opportunity to do different types of competition. There's family business competitions, there's sales competitions, or to go out to different student run and led conferences to learn from other student organizations across the country. And it sells out every year. Our members really step up, they donate, the sponsors really step up. We have a great time. We were able to help a student finish and complete his degree that otherwise wouldn't have this past year. And we were able to send 3 students to a national PSE conference that wouldn't have been able to go without the support of the center and our golf outing.
That's wonderful. What's the one piece of advice you would give a woman who is ready to get behind the wheel and steer an organization as you have done?
Okay, oh wow, one piece of advice. I've got to narrow it down to one. Well, my first instinct is to buckle up and enjoy the ride, right? But one piece of advice that a mentor told me when I was starting off is define your path. Once you get on your path, make a decision and don't look back, because the second you look back, you might veer off the path. Even if it's slightly, you're not on the same path. So be confident, make decisions, know what your end goal is, and it's okay if a decision's wrong.
And no looking in the rearview mirror.
Yes, no looking in the rearview mirror. Another piece of advice is put yourself out there. You know, especially if you want to work with the community, you've got to get out into the community. You know, go to networking events, go to events where you can meet unique, different types of people. And one thing my dad always told me is if you're uncomfortable in a room, right, especially young women getting into the workplace, you know, it might be a little bit uncomfortable if you're not that extroverted personality. And if you find yourself in that situation, my dad used to say, find the oldest person in the room. They're going to have like the best stories. You're not going to have any problems talking to them. You're going to learn a lot. There's a lot of wisdom there. And I've used that a few times. And that's advice that I share with some of the students that I teach. Another piece of advice I like to tell our members, our students, I tell my kids this all the time, is don't avoid a necessary conversation just because it's difficult.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
For us
it's hard
all.
to live by, and sometimes
Yes.
I have to remind myself of that too. But it really is, you know, if it's, especially with business, we hear that a lot with succession planning and transition. It's like, don't avoid it just because it's difficult. You know, get comfortable being uncomfortable and power through.
That's my takeaway right there. So Angie, thank you so much for being here. We so appreciate what you do and all that you do for businesses and family owned and privately owned in our community.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And thank you to Taylor Automotive for all the good that you do in the community.
Thank you so much to Angie Jones of the University of Toledo Family Business Center for speaking with us today. Join us as we drive forward to visit with more incredible women in our community.